Eka.
Hello, Dr. Nida.
Hello, Shaman. Thank you for having me here.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for the time. I know it's really, you're a busy man, busy with so many projects. You were down in California and New York. And then we were a few months ago, we were in Bhutan. So, yeah. You are a medical doctor, trained in also specializing in Tibetan medicine from the Yuthok Nyingthig lineage. And yeah, you were a student of yoga, and you are a poet. That's your biography says. So you have many titles, and yeah, I've
many,
been. Oh,
many useless titles.
um, but yeah, I've through my search for understanding of the Vajrayana tradition, I have come across you and Dr. Yan. We went to a retreat that you led in Bhutan. It was a really beautiful, surreal, where I had a one-on-one experience of you, of your presence, of your energy, of your teachings. Just really, really powerful. And yeah, and I'm really grateful to have you on this podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So let's begin. So tell me a bit about your journey, Dr. Nida. You are from Tibet originally?
Yeah, I was born in a nomadic yurt, northeast Tibet. It's called Amdo. And I grew up there as a nomadic boy. And then I went to the tent school and then ordinary school, communist school. And there I did all my modern education. And then in 1991, I went to Lhasa Tibetan Medical College. And 1996, I was graduated. And then 98, I moved to Italy. And since then I settled in Italy. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. And you were really interested in medicine at an early age, and that's what led you
Yeah,
to medical school
medicine.
in
Yeah,
Tibet.
especially medical science and natural medical science I'm really fascinated, about health, about mental health and physical health and longevity. Yeah, those are the topic I'm really, really interested in. And then especially when we talk about health, today many people, they talk about the operations and chemical drugs and so on. But personally, I'm always fascinated into the natural medicine, the herbs and plants and minerals, proper diet and lifestyle, all the things. I think that's something to do probably also my childhood, because I was born in a yurt, in a tent, and grew up in the nature. So for me, and being part of nature, it's the most important part of my life. So yeah.
How was it growing up in a tent? Were your family also herbalists? Were you
Well,
inspired by?
my family is a nomadic family. So everybody's nomad, So we had yaks and sheep and few horses and, looking after animals. And, one really interesting thing in the nomad land, the first one, as I said, the nature is so amazing, it's really, really beautiful and amazing. And then, secondly, the lifestyle, because most of nomads, their life is very independent, right? Very autonomous, because we produce our own dairy product, milk and cheese and curd and butter So all dairy product, we produce by ourselves, right? Especially our moms and, sisters. And normally this part of the work is considered the women's work. And then we had meat as a main protein. So, sheep and yak, mostly sheep and yak. And then time to time we need to, exchange the cheese or butter to the rice and to the wheat, Right, then the farmers, they have their own product. Like they might have wheat or barley and rice. So they bring, it's trading, food trading, right? They need more dairy product and meat, and so we trade it. So we did not have that much fruit and veggies, and especially veggies, not much. But I think the life was really functioning in a kind of perfect way. So that's why one of our elder brother, he went to live in a big city, Lanzhou in China, and he often he criticized, he's saying, oh, nomad land is very like undeveloped, and people are living like ancient time in a very primitive way. In the city, there's shopping malls and this and that. He's always kind of very fascinated about city life. But I was always wondering, how city people are living. Where did they get like their meat or their dairy product or their food, right? I had no idea about the shopping malls and food markets and these things. So we're kind of living in a very, very kind of like a supernatural style, right? And then I also thought, okay, if it's in the shop, everything you can buy, but if something happens during the transportation or the shop closes, then what people can buy, So I still have this kind of questions. But today I think, we all should live more close to the nature, and, to have our own like veggie gardens or fruit trees, and we should make our own like self-sustainable, right? So normally when we say, oh, this project should be self-sustainable, or the business should be like independent, this and that. But I think our human life, it's good, if we we know what we are, growing, right? What we are cultivating and what we are eating, and what is the source of our food, and living with nature. I think that's still, I think about that. Yeah.
Sometimes when the food is readily on our plate, we totally underappreciate the effort from farming, from growing. We forget about the entire process and we just straight head to the market, and there is a loss of
Yeah, yeah.
appreciation
Yeah,
in
yeah,
today's
exactly.
culture.
Yeah, lack of appreciation, and then the food is processed, the massive production, everything made so fast and easy. And, yeah, it seems the food has no value, actually has no value, because mostly being processed, So in the modern time, like this modern time, I call it the sugar culture, right? Everything is, everywhere is sugar, right? We eat any kind of carb product. Everywhere they just add sugar and sugar and sugar and sugar, right? And then the most sugars are processed sugar. So if it seems, if there's no sugar and there's no food, right? And if there's no sugar, there's no life. So this under living this kind of sugar culture, because sugars are processed sugar. The more we eat processed food, and the more we are agitated, and the more we become needy. I need this, I want this, and it's just a kind of desire inflation, right? I want this, I want that. So that's why, recently I'm thinking about how should we call this kind of modern civilization. I thought, oh, this modern civilization, is it the uh, fast society, because we have faster food, faster car, and faster internet, and all the everything speeding up and fast, right? And then with all those speed, where we are running to. What is our goal? What is our definition and destination, right? Destination, right? Everybody's busy and running and, kind of consuming the sugar-based food, and then we get kind of sugar energy, and we are kind of all hyperactive and hypersensitive, and then just being busy and we call it searching happiness and health, right? So this kind of culture, of course there are many positive aspects of this culture, but the more when I see this kind of superficial culture, I wish that we are able to bring more like kind of organic, right? Where, we are able to bring more organic food on the table, right? And the way how we educate like our kids also more organically, which means they need to spend more time in the nature. And also the medicine, I think we should think about more natural medicine oriented, right? I'm not saying the surgery and drugs are useless. Of course, they can save our lives. But also the natural medical part, I think also very important, right? There are so many people, they say, oh, natural medicine doesn't work. Oh, herbs doesn't work. Oh, pills doesn't work. And then I say, well, you are taking lots of food supplements. Do they work? Oh, of course, food supplement works because they are vitamins, because they are proteins and this and that. I said, if you think carefully, they're all coming from the nature, right? Unless you are taking a synthetic, food supplement. But if food supplement works, why the herbal medicine doesn't work? Right? Then some people say, well, I don't take food supplement. I ask them, do you eat? Yes. What do you eat? Everything we eat, right? If you eat organic food, and those are the best medicines, right? Those are the best medicines. Everything what we need, protein, and minerals, and vitamins, everything what we need is coming from food. So then if food is working, right? Food
Thank
is
you for
working.
sharing.
We are all here. Food is working. Thanks to the food and drinks, we are all here. But if food works, then why natural medicine doesn't work? Do you understand? But I think there's a kind of big misunderstanding about natural medicine. When we say natural medicine, we are not talking only, I don't know, 20, 30, or 40 types of different, very specific herbs and this and that. As Tibetan medicine says, if you know how to use, nothing is not medicine, which grows in the nature, right? That's true.
Yeah, I like the fact that you really focused on the sugar and the impulsiveness or the quick feeling of agitation it creates, because it gives you a quick sensory. It fulfills your desire in a quick way, short way. I was actually listening to a podcast yesterday that's focused on gut bacteria, our microbiome, and it talks
Mm-hmm.
about, I think, one of the processed sugar is maltodextrin, if it's correct. So it's
Mm-hmm.
present in a lot of the processed food that we eat, and it results in the cultivation of a certain type of bacteria that could cause a lot of autoimmune diseases, and
Yeah, yeah.
um, just a barrier in our body that protects us, between this under I think under the skin. So it eats away those pieces. So it's quite interesting how a quick fix or a quick pleasure from the sensory taste, has all these long-term negative effects in our
Yeah.
system. Yeah. And I want to ask you,
Yeah,
is really
fast
this has been,
food make
you know,
us sick chronically. Sorry?
mm, yeah, I wanted to ask you this question. I think is in a lot of people's minds. There are schools of thought and yogic systems that say, eat a plant-based diet. Okay, only eat vegetables and fruits. Um, but certain Buddhist traditions say, okay, it's okay to eat meat. And there is, on the other extreme, you have the carnivore diet, people who promise that, only meat can have a lot of benefits. So it's a lot of controversies going on, a lot of debates. I'm curious, what's your take on it?
Yeah, this is, I call it bombardment of information, right? Some people say, oh, this is because of scientific research and this and that. And then some people say, oh, this is tradition and this and that. But I think we cannot say one type of diet is best for everyone, you know. So you mentioned about the microbiome. So we are all individuals, and all individuals, in Tibetan medicine we talk about typology. It means we are all humans, but we are different types of humans. We have our own different microbiome. We have our own different how do you say, genetic factors, right? So that's why I think we cannot say everybody have to be vegetarian, and then also everybody have to be carnivore. But for some people, vegetarian is really good, or even for some people, vegan is really good. And for some people, just eating meat or like a keto diet and these things are also very useful, right? So that's why, we cannot, if it's a herbal medicine, we cannot say, okay, there is a magical group of herbs. If you take them and it will cure you from all disease. In this story, I don't believe. Because even what you're offering, the herbs, like magical and powerful, but individual conditions are always different, right? Some people, they have too much energy. We need to bring them down. Some people, a lack of energy. We have to increase it. Some people's energy is messed up, disbalanced. We have to rebalance them, right? It depends, I know some people are feeling very sick after being a vegan, and some people are losing weight and feeling great after vegan for a while, and then they feel bad and this and that. So that's why normally what I say is, if somebody asks me, okay, I want to try vegan diet, I want to try vegetarian, I want to try this and that, I say, give yourself 3 months to check it first, how you really feel, right? Actually, if you're feeling well with one diet, you are losing weight, or you're controlling about your weight, and your energy level is different, and your mood is improved, your mood is stable, and if there are many positive results, yes, you can continue. But if you don't see any kind of very specific result, why you continue? Because of this diet you are feeling very weak and sick, then it's better you stop, right? It's not because you promised somebody and you want to do this diet, or if you, I don't know, or you say, oh, I want to do because, my friends are doing it, I want to do this. So I always say, try out for 3 months. If something good for you, in 3 months, actually your body is telling you which diet is best for you, right? So as Tibetan medicine doctor, Tibetan medicine is called the Sowa Rigpa, the signs of health and happiness. According to Sowa Rigpa, it's very important we follow, or we listen to our own body. We listen to our own intuition, right? And so normally, I think also it depends what are the main food for our ancestors, right? So our ancestors never exposed to so much sugar, right? And so much alcohol. And I think this generation is kind of really like an extreme style, right? And so in this case, in Tibetan medicine, we talk about this multi-component formulas. It means one kind of herbal medicine, one pill, inside the mixture of from 20 to 30 types of herbs and minerals, right? 30 types of herbs and minerals, all mixed. So multi-component medicines. And for some type of imbalances or disorders, we have to use this kind of multi-component pills. The reason is, our body needs a help in many different ways, right? Many different parts of our body needs help. So therefore, we use many ingredients or many substances together. So this gave me the idea of, and also we need to, what I'm thinking is in generally, we need to eat different kind of food, right? It's like, let's say if you eat a salad, you have choice. But if you eat a mixed salad, there, different leaves are mixed, right? Yellow leaves and green leaves and maybe tomatoes, they are mixed. So then if you talk about the Caesar salad, there's even chicken, and then there's some cheese. So in this case, that salad actually is like a herbal formula. It's like a medicine. Do you get what I mean? So that's why I think, normally I think what our human nature is, our ancestors, they just grew up whatever they can find, right, for survival. Maybe they did not eat that much vegetation, mostly like grains, grains and meat and fish, and based on this, right? Then I know in India, there are tribes, they have been vegetarian since generations. And then that's fine for you. Like in China, there are some, people, they grow up with tofu, right? Tofu is like their, traditional dish. It's okay. But now in the West, some people say, oh, tofu, it's amazing. I'm vegetarian and tofu can replace the meat, and I consume lots of tofu. So that can be dangerous. It's not that healthy, right? It's dangerous, not that healthy. So that's why I think we really need to ask that question for ourselves. What are the diets of our ancestors? I'm not going back until the Stone Age to say eat only raw meat, right? So from generation to generation, centuries to centuries, in a way, the microbiome and enzymes, what we have, actually mostly coming from our parents. And so in a way, and we need to survive. That's why, to say, okay, I'm on this kind of very special diet and I stay on just this diet, to be that kind of extremist, maybe not that healthy. But another thing, I said our modern culture is the sugar culture, and another thing is our culture also is like a extremist culture, right? And when we talk about the diet, there's so many extreme views, right? Why the vegan is the best? There's so many extreme views about the vegan. And then there's so many extreme views about vegetarian. And then some people are talking so extremely bad about the meat. And then some people are talking about eating only meat, like a keto diet, right? And then some people are saying, oh, fish is so good, fish and seafood is so healthy. And then sometimes you ask where you get shrimps. Are they farmed ones? Yes, salmon is very healthy. Do you get a farmed salmon or the wild caught salmon, right? And so, and then maybe the fatty fish, they can contain like mercuries, right? So there are so many questions. Actually, if you try to understand these things, it's confusing because there are so many informations are there and so many questions arises. Yes, eating fish is very healthy. And then what kind of fish you are talking about, right? It's the natural caught or it's the farmed fish. So you think fish is very healthy. You have to go to check to visit a fish farm. What those fish are eating, right? Fish from fish, they're eating all the rotten fish and this and that, right? So anyway, that's why when we talk about a diet, the topic is very complex and very complicated. But the one thing which we can really trust is our body's gut feeling, what really body needs. It knows. and we need to try different kind of food, and then trying, or try out vegetarian, whatever you want to do. In 3 months, you know which one is good for you. All right. The only thing, one problem is our gut feeling, or when we say body knows what it needs. The only problem is it's difficult to say, what you are craving is your gut feeling or your addiction. Today, so many people are addicted to the carbs, addicted to the sugar, right? It's addiction. It's not what your body wants or needs. It's what your mind is addicted to it. Do you understand? So that's why also it's dangerous to say, listen to your gut or listen to your body. And most of people say, oh, yeah, I want to eat something sweet because my body is craving. You see, you get that excuse too, right? So that's why regarding the diet, I think we need to know what is our base. Our base is based on the water and earth element, or based on the fire element, or based on the wind element, or our nature is it's the single type or mixed type or double type. We need to know about a little bit of our typology. And then we just ask also what our, ordinary people, they don't know what microbiome is. Actually, easiest way to check if your microbiome, your bacteria are happy in your belly or not with your food, you can check your poop, right? So if you have a very nice poop, it's a very nice poop, and it's very easy, easy to release, kind of nice, and you have a good feeling with that. It means your bacteria are happy with you. So if you have diarrhea, if you have constipation, if you have blockages or too much gas and this and that, it means there's something wrong. That's the reaction of bacteria there in our gut, right? Some people say, oh, since I become a vegetarian, my bowel movement is changed. I'm feeling so good. So that's a good sign. And then some people, exactly, they have the opposite. Oh, since I have become a vegetarian, I have so much gas and the bloating and discomfort and pain and this and that. And then you go to, see a doctor. Okay, I need to pill to against the bloatingness. I need to do this and that. Do you understand? Instead of doing many things, we just need to find the right diet for ourselves.
I think I changed this. Sorry, I just put in a bigger screen. So yeah, that's super incredible. But also, I just coming back to one of the points, it's like the production of food is a multi-complex system, right? You have so many different components from production. Like for instance, what do the fishes eat? What kind of products? So it's like
Yeah.
really, really at a micro level. But also, I mean, in the spiritual sense, I mean, like who is making the food? Who is preparing the food? Who is the chef? Like a food that your mom makes versus you eat in a restaurant of someone who is highly agitated, anxious, has an energetic effect on us. What are your thoughts on those non-physical aspects of food production?
Well, the spiritual aspect also the same. It go back to the nature. Okay, we should not escape from the nature. So if it's a food is well cultivated in the nature, right? The nature is treated well. The soil is not polluted. Water is clean. The good air, real good sunlight. So that is the foundation of the food, how the food can have a spiritual pure energy, right? From there, then you go to the shop, and then coming to your kitchen, and then meet this spiritual, lovely chef. Do you understand? So that's why we have to think of the meeting between the chef and the food. Chef is organic, food is organic, right? Food is coming from nature, and the chef has a natural, loving, and happy to cook and to serve others, this and that, then goes well, Then both energy goes well. Otherwise, the chef says, "Oh, I have good intention, and I put lots of my, good intention on the food, and I cook with the love and compassion and happiness." Yes, of course, love, and there's a good vibration is there, good energy is there. But then, unfortunately, your food is not organic food. Your food is, processed food. Do you understand? So that's why I think, in generally, as a chef or as a cook, we need to really. I know the good, really like good-hearted, good spirit or very kind cook or chefs, and they want to know what they are cooking, right? Because that's called the kindness, and that's called the cooking with kindness, with love. They know what they are cooking because they care where the food is coming from, because they care about their guest or who is going to eat this food. It's all about the respect, right? So that's why spiritual energy, I think it comes with respect too,
And I remember, I think over my spiritual practice, the more I became deeper and practiced more consistently over the years, I became really sensitive to the food I eat. For instance, sometimes when I eat oily and processed food, especially for dinner, I do feel a sense of guilt and anxiety come up, like, in my body. I've noticed that quite sometimes, and it's a great segue for us to go into how food affects our emotions, our hormones, because emotions dictate our reality and behavior. Um, and coming back to emotions and Vajrayana Buddhism, it's like a really, really interesting topic. How I remember during our trip to Bhutan, one of like something I really enjoyed listening to was, your take on emotions, like anger. Um, Anger, and I think it's called kleshas. I think 4 or 5 different uh, negative emotions. So please, I would love to jump into this exciting topic.
Well, food is definitely, it's a very powerful medicine for our mood disorders, right? People have anxiety disorders or suffering from insomnia. If you eat right food, it can reduce, or it even can be get cured. And the same way, if you are eating wrong food, then you can get. It's not eating wrong food is not only physically we feel bad or get sick, and actually our energy can be messed up, and also emotionally it disturbs us, right? And this is one thing. Then I think sometimes when we say we become more spiritual and we are sensitive for food and this and that, but sometimes if we can't be like a perfect. Sometimes we eat something not maybe not that organic, this and that. But if you don't think it, probably your body is okay, can process it. But then you think, oh, what I had, it was too much oily, this and that. You start to think, then you feel the disturbance, right? It's like a
I
psychosomatic problem.
did.
So
Exactly.
sometimes we have to be careful,
Exactly.
Sometimes we have to be careful, what signals we are giving to our stomach. Do you understand? So that's why
Mm,
in the spiritual tradition, what I love the most is in the Tantric Buddhism, says the pure vision. Pure vision means kind of
pure vision.
pure vision means think more positive way, send positive vibrations. That's what means, right? Even you think, okay, today I had some food, normally I don't eat this and that, but I just want to think positively about that. And I believe in my gut, and my microbiome, and they can process it, And I wish, this food is not so harmful for my cells, for my bacteria. Do you understand? If you think this way, even it's something negative, spiritually you can transform it. So that's why the spiritual sensitivity, we have to be careful. Okay? Because spiritually we become paranoia, paranoid. Spiritually we become paranoid. And spiritually we get panic attack, right? And we can get spiritual delusional disorders. So that's why when we say spiritual, actually it's not just like the gentleness and the cleanness and perfectionism. Spiritual, requires we need to be strong, powerful, and we are able to take responsibilities. Do you understand? So that's why we should not saying, oh, I'm kind of spiritually sensitive, I'm emotionally sensitive, and this and that, and then we kind of fall in the part of the victim group, right? So that's one thing. I know sometimes, I have been a vegetarian for 15 years. And then that time, sometimes, some guests, they give you some meat or meat soup and this and that. When you mentally don't accept that, then you have bad dreams and then you have bad feelings. But if you didn't know there was a meat or meat soup, you don't feel anything. Or maybe even your body is feeling better. You sleep better. Your body is craving some animal proteins, and finally you get it, right? And our mind is not knowing that, but body says, okay, I got the proteins, I'm happy. Do you understand? So that's why I think this kind of spiritual sensitivity, we should be careful. And then your question about kleshas. So this is where actually the Tantra comes in the old spiritual tradition. So Tantra, Tan means the body, Tra means save or protect. Okay, the word of, Tantra has many, it's a waving, it's a system. There are so many words what Tantra is, right? There are so many explanations what Tantra is. But actually, the true Tantra means protection of the body, right? So then Tantra actually really talks about the unity of body, mind, and energy. There's no separation between mind and body, right? So that's why today we talk about psychology. If you think everything only in a psychological way, we think everything is just the mind, right? Or emotionally, emotionally lack that, emotionally traumatized, emotionally this and that. It's true, emotions can play a big role too, but the physical part plays a big role too, equally, right? So we cannot just explain psychology, only the psychological, the mental part. In the psychology, we must talk about the neurology too, right? Neurology. Thanks to science, we know what neurology is. And thanks to neuroscience, we know that all our emotions and addictions and memories and all the things are wired up with our brain and nervous system and so on, right? So in this case, do you want to...
Dr. Nida, you were cut off because I think the internet is sort of a bit saggy on your end. So you cut off where you said neurology is. Can you repeat that?
Okay, do you hear me now?
Yes.
So I was saying that neurology, the neuroscience talks about how our emotions are coming from our brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
The mood disorder, the anxiety, the phobia, and So, even like ADHD, and, there are so many kind of, how do you say, psychological issues. We have psychological issues because of our brain has issues, right? So I think that kind of idea really fits in Tantra, because Tantra, we are saying protect the body. And protecting body means not only physical body, right? Of course, protecting body, the tan, tan means the body, tra means protection. We protect this physical body, and we protect our internal body, the organs, every organs. But that protecting the body means also protecting the energy and protecting the mind. So therefore, between mind and the body and the energy has no separation. They are all in one. Do you understand? You have neurons that, neurons are in the brain, and then, wired up with the nervous system, and then all our emotions and mood and many things are controlled by there. It's a physical organ. But then it's not a physical organ controls all our emotions and everything, and that become what our body look like, right? But then this brain is working with the neurotransmitters, with the brain waves. So anything moves, anything makes a motion, right? Transportation or movement. Vibration is called energy. So without energy, then there is no body's function. Do you understand? If we think about energy, we have a blood circulation. Why we have a blood circulation? Thanks to the heartbeat. Why our heart is beating? Because the heart has a beat, heart has a motion. And that's empowered by the all-pervasive prana energy in the heart, right? In our brain, we have all those neurotransmitters. We have another type of prana, life-sustaining prana, and that's operating. So that's energy, you see. Once we eat a food, everything digested part enters in the blood and then spread it entire body. And what we are doing is we are feeding our organs. We are feeding our body tissues. We are feeding all our cells, right? Our cells are eating. Our cells are drinking. They need to get all substances what they need. So if you think in a carefully, the whole process, it's a vibration. It's a frequency. You call it a frequency or you call it vibration, right? So that part is called the energy. So that's why the Tantra, Tantric view, when we say the Tantric medicine, for example, Tibetan medicine known as a Tantric medicine too. The most famous Tibetan, the most famous Tibetan medical text is called the Four Tantras. And many people, they ask me, oh, it's a medical text, why you call it Tantra? So I always say, actually, originally, Tantra, it's a medical terminology. It means how to protect our human body. Once the body is protected, then our energy and minds are protected too, because those three things are indivisible. If you have the trust, don't feel guilt. I think the religious guilt, that's what my personal view. I think the religious guilt is created by those religious people, right? How to control human mind. It's all a question of controlling system, But you make people feel really guilt. And the more you feel guilt, the more you feel guilt and you're controlled by the guilt, right? So in the life, we have guilt, spiritual guilt, and religious guilt is a very powerful guilt. But personally, what I think about that religious guilt, it's like a psychological thing created for controlling human mind. Because the guilt is like a sin, it's the darkness. When you feel that darkness and you get stuck with darkness, right? So probably in this case, I think we need to think more what is the Buddha's message, right? Buddha, it's a Buddha. You know what does it mean, Sanskrit word, Buddha? Buddha means wake up.
What does it mean?
Buddha means wake up. Right? So it's a very powerful spiritual call, I would say. I'm not saying everybody need to be, practice Buddhist or need to practice Buddhism, but we know it's a really kind of very powerful inner call, psychological call. Buddha says, don't get lost in any believing systems. Don't get lost in any traditions, right? Don't get lost in the rituals and even the meditation. Don't get stuck with meditation. You do meditation, use it and help yourself, right? Save yourself and wake up yourself. So that's why I think the Buddhist message normally, by the way, I'm a Buddhist. That's why I'm saying Buddha this and that. But it's not, I'm fascinated by Buddhism because of the Lord Buddha himself, But I'm fascinated just the name of Buddha. It says wake up. It's so true. Right? Even psychologically, if we are stressed, we have to wake up from that stress. Because maybe our psychological stress is that there are more pressure than the real problems, right? We create more pain and suffering just by thinking and imagining, right? But if we can say, oh, this is just my thoughts and this and that, and you wake up from this, you say, this is just my imagination, this is just my thought, this is just my dream, right? Once you wake up from there, you have no problem, right?
So
Let's say you are having
waking up presumes that
yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's say you are having
Continue.
so many troubles. Okay, let's say you are having so many troubles. Heartbroken, financial issues, getting sick, and depressed, and losing losses of friends, whatever, many things happening. And we really feel like, the life is meaningless, feeling so bad, that's a helpless and hopeless, right? It's kind of really getting depressed. But that moment, suddenly you realize you are dreaming. You say, oh, this is a dream. Right? What happens then? All your kleshas, negative feelings, right? The sadness, exactly. Sadness and the loneliness and depression, fear, anxiety, whatever you have there, the moment you know you are dreaming, it's gone. What does it mean? You are sleeping, you are dreaming before you are suffering because you didn't know you are dreaming. But then suddenly you become lucid, you knew you are dreaming. That knowingness saved you from all emotional disturbances. And that is a kind of internal waking up, right? I think mostly all the religious traditions and spiritual traditions, that is the main, the main message, right? We wake up by ourselves or we wake up by help of God or deities. It doesn't matter, but at end we need to wake up.
Waking up, dreams. That's it's really someone who is who is sleeping who is been constantly sleeping, how do they get the first glimpse that your experiences through the sensory objects is a dream? And also connecting it to Vajrayana tradition, I've heard that
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Vajrayana path is one of the fastest ways of seeing through the veil. Can you talk a little bit into that?
Well, that's about dream yoga. Yeah, that's about dream yoga. Dream yoga means
Dream
you are
yoga.
mindful
Okay.
when you are falling asleep. And while you are dreaming, you train yourself before you fall asleep, Like, for example, now you are saying, oh, I'm interviewing in my dream. Everything is in the dream. You remind yourself. So before you fall asleep, you imagine you are already dreaming. You are somewhere. With that imagination, you fall asleep. Maybe if you have a dream, you say, oh, I'm in the dream, right? You will continue that thought. So there are different techniques how to become lucid in the dream. Okay, and this we need to train. We need to train every night. And if your training goes well, then you become lucid. Then you will know that you are dreaming. Which means then once you become lucid in your dream, you are free from dream.
So the point of lucid dreaming is to bring that lucidness and the dreaming state into this state of awareness, so you are lucid in here as well. Is that one of the points of
Yes.
dream
Yeah.
yoga?
Yeah. The more
Mm.
mindful in the real life experience, and you will be mindful in your dream too. That's called the lucid dreaming. But the more you become, you have lucid dream in the dream, you get trained well, and then also
Mm.
this life becoming more mindful. So both ways helping, supporting each other. And then you ask me about the
Mhm.
kleshas. So
And
also Tantra, I told you the unity of body and energy and mind. And in Tibetan, we call Sangha Jurlam. Jurlam means the path of transformation. Okay. So the main message from here, the why it's called the path of transformation, it's ancient like alchemy. We are talking about alchemy. Okay. Tantra is also talking about alchemy. Alchemy means everything is transformable. And ancient alchemy
Mhm.
is today's chemistry, right? And the chemistry, what you do, all chemicals can be transformed, right? You add the heat or freeze it or mix it and this and that. When you put the chemicals mixed together, it can transform all different stuffs, right? So chemistry, it's called the transforming path or the science of transformation. Actually, Vajrayana, the Tantric Buddhism known as the path of transformation. So we are talking about emotional transformations. Like our emotions, like a poisons, right? Desire, what we call toxic desire, it's toxic. It means dangerous, but that one we can transform into the wisdom. Anger, it's a very typical negative emotion. If you know how to deal with anger you can transform into the bliss or into the joy. And same way, the jealousy, and the fear. So, we in the West, in the modern time, we talk lots of fear. And in the Vajrayana says fear is the result of desire, right? You desire happiness. You really desire, I want to be happy, I want to happy. And then fear comes that you can't achieve that you will be unhappy, right? And the more desire you have, the more fear you bring up too. The more you want to be perfect, your desire to be perfect, perfectionist, right? And that brings more fears that you cannot be perfect. Do you understand? So it's not something separated. And so when I talk about kleshas, many people they ask, oh, how come in our modern time we talk a lot about fear? And why Vajrayana is not talking about fear. Vajrayana, we talk about fear, the mild fear, moderated fear, extreme fear, different levels of fears. But they are triggered by the desires, right? Let's say if you have a very nice object, you really like it, you love it, right? What this brings? This brings a fear. I think, oh, maybe, this will get lost. So maybe somebody will steal it, or get lost, or maybe get still, or maybe being broken, or maybe this and that. Do you understand? The more you love, the more fear you have. So that's why sometimes instead of saying, I need to deal with the fear, you need to deal with the desire, right? And this tantric, this type of tantric theory exactly we share also in the Tibetan medicine, okay? And this is the same thing in the modern medicine, right? Modern medicine. Do you know any name of any drugs? Name of any drugs? You name any drugs, modern chemical drugs, right? When you use them for right problems with the right dosage, the right time, it's a medicine. It can cure you. Like antibiotics, right? Antibiotics you take for 7 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It can really help you to save your life. For right problem, you took the right drug with the right time and the right dosage. You got cured, right? But if you use the wrong drug, wrong time, wrong dosage, right? What happens? It can harm you. So then that is the drug or that is a poison. So it is the drug and also it is the poison. Depends who take it. Depends who has it. Do you understand? Depends how much you take it. Depends how often you take it. Do you understand? And that's called the Tantra. So that's why the good thing is in Tantra is we don't talk about, to repress anything. No repression, emotional repression, no emotional suppression. Okay? You don't need to refuse anything. You don't need to reduce anything. You don't need to avoid everything. But you need to be wise and skillful. So in this case, like a good tantric practitioner is like a good doctor, right? Today I have a headache because my headache is a tension headache. So I need to rest and relax. And next day I have a headache. My headache is a migraine. So what I need to do? I need to rest in the dark and drink lots of water and so on. So then once I experienced two types of headache, what I need to be careful? So what are the causes triggering my headache? Too much stress, too much work causes my tension headache. Okay, I want to avoid it. Then I won't have it. And my migraine is triggered by alcohol or not resting, this and that. Okay, I want to avoid that too. Do you understand? Or maybe lack of some substances. I need to take something, this and that. You see, when you use your wisdom or intelligence, right? We can also call it emotional intelligence. So a good tantric practitioner has a good emotional intelligence. Good emotional intelligence means you know how to manage your emotions, right? It means you know how to manage your emotions. When you don't know how to manage your emotions, then you are in trouble.
Share some practical ways how, for instance, someone can transform their anger into something positive.
Well, firstly, you need to know that you have anger. You have to admit that. Okay, normally those angry people, when you say, oh, you are always angry, say, no, I'm not angry, you are the one, right? So
Mhm.
it's difficult to know which emotions we have. If somebody knows already he or she has an anger issue, it's already good. You write it down. I have anger issues, right? Number one, first the diagnosis. You have anger issue. And then you write down how often it happens, right? You have anger. It's like a headache. Okay, I have a headache. How often it comes? Every day? Twice a day? 5 times a day? Once a week? Do you understand? First, you know you have a headache.
Mhm.
And second, you know how often it's repeating, right? And third one, what that anger is doing. Do you understand? Headache is so strong that I become dysfunction. I can't study. I can't work. Do you understand? That's the
Mhm.
harmful aspect of the headache. So if you are angry, what anger does? I'm feeling very bad. I really feel anger. My heart is pumping. My blood is boiling. My liver is hot. I'm angry. Do you like this feeling? No, it's a very discomfort feeling.
Mhm.
If you don't like this feeling, then why? If you don't like this feeling, then why you have it? Do you understand? So how it's damaging yourself, number one question. And how it's damaging other people. If you're angry with your partner, you shout at your partner. So how much you can hurt her? Do you understand? If you have kids, if you're shouting at your wife and your kids can hear that, so you don't know how to manage your anger and you're shouting at your wife and your kids heard that, it's called the multiple damaging. Do you understand? You're
Mhm.
you're hurting yourself first of all, because anger is yours, and then hurting your wife, and then hurting your kids, right? So now you see your negative emotions, how it's damaging, why we call it's a toxic emotion, right? Some people say, oh, don't call it toxic, we are spiritual. Emotion is not toxic and they're just immature. This is not true. But the kids, they're immature kids, but they know how to manage their emotion. They don't have anger. Anyway, never mind. I like the word we say toxic because it's a dangerous, it's a harmful, right? So now,
Mhm.
as an adult person, as an intelligent person, firstly, you have anger. Secondly, how often? Thirdly, harming yourself and harming others, and especially beloved ones, right? All the things. You
Mhm.
made a diagnosis for yourself. And then what is your next thought? What do you think? The first step I told you, making diagnosis and you are knowing it's harmful, this and that. What will be your second step?
Maybe where it is in my body, perhaps where it's
Yeah,
coming from.
that before that, you want to find a solution. Do you understand? You
Mhm.
say, I don't like this because it's harming myself, harming others. I don't like this. Then you find a way. You find a solution, right? If you find a way,
Mhm.
if you find a solution, you find a way, you find a solution, then what happens? Then you meditate. What is the best solution? You meditate, right?
Mhm.
And in meditation, where anger is coming from, where it stays, where it disappears, right? Where it's coming from. Or you ask yourself, why I'm angry? Now I'm married. My anger, it seems triggered by my family, my wife. Why I'm so angry? You ask yourself, 5 years ago, you have similar temper? Then you ask yourself, younger, you have similar temper? When you are little kid, your family members, did they call you that you are the little angry boy? Do you understand? So you try to find out where it's coming from, where it starts. Oh, yeah, when I was little, I had that and that. I was bullied. I was stressed and this and that. I was not good at school, and that's why, I suffered a lot from anger. Oh, that's the starting point. Okay, that time you didn't know how to manage your anger, but now you're adult. Now you're wiser. Now you know how to do it. So then you say, I don't want to be reactive, impulsive. Do you understand? So you make a decision. I don't want to be impulsive. Maybe my wife can trigger my anger, but I don't want to do that. Maybe the bigger angers you can't handle, but small ones you can let them go. And this is how in a daily life, we can come over with the anger. So the less anger you have, the more peaceful family you will have. Do you understand? I'm saying this as you and your wife, your kids. I'm not saying it to you, I'm just saying this because Tantra is a practice for lay people. Of course, monastic people can practice it too, but mostly designed for lay people, right? Monastic people, they don't have partnership problem. Monastic people, they don't have family headache. Right? Monks and nuns stay in the monasteries, and nunneries, you do whatever. But we lay people, we have extra, stress, and because we have extra responsibility, right? So that can, in the normal daily life, if there's a financial stress, we carry it. If there's a relationship stress, we carry it. If there's a, I don't know, political, whatever, all the disturbing things, we just intake, and then we don't know how to handle, right? We don't know how to process them. So that's why to managing all those internal kleshas or negative emotions, it's just a question how to be mindful and how to hold the space in yourself and around yourself, right? So that's why first we need lots of the self-awareness. What is my reaction? What's my emotion, this and that? And then you need to see around yourself what is going on around yourself.
Once you find the part of you that is angry, or you have found out the source, is there a way to channel it into something creative, something more transformational? Let's say someone, let's say you're a poor person, does not have a good standing in society, for example, right? If if you get abused by someone, that okay, in public, or in a party, or someone just does not give you too much attention, or calls you names, things like that, abusive, which could make you angry. How do you transform that into, like, no, I am going to I'm going to be the best, instead of just getting caught up in, like, I'm not good enough, I feel guilty, yes, that person said what is what
Yeah,
is true, etc.,
when you
etc.
when you say, you are being abused and you are thinking about this other bad guy, thinking when you can't let that person go, it means you are torturing yourself, right? It's not that guy is coming to visit your mind. Your mind runs there and holding that guy. So that's why you have to free yourself, right? I think in the ordinary word it says forgive. Or you forgive or you forget. Let it go. Holding on these things. I always say bad experiences are good lessons. You say, I learned a lesson. I want to take as a lesson and I want to grow stronger. Do you understand? So sometimes when we say forgive, forgive somebody. But I think we need to forget those people and forgive ourselves. Right? Because of what happened to you, that's not you. You should not let what happened to you define you. Do you understand? Something negative happened. You should make that refine yourself. But this kind of things, it happens again and again, then you protect yourself. It's called the setting the boundary. You set up the boundary.
Yes.
Does it make sense?
And absolutely, absolutely. So I was like, but is there a way to fuel that anger into something more powerful, more strong, that will like channel into something more creative, that will unleash maybe something deeper, um, like a potential that's been sort of like hidden that you did not know you have? Is there practices that you can channel, or maybe not only anger, maybe it could be any of the other kleshas into something like,
Yeah, you
maybe
could.
you're
There's
tap
a
into your
different. There are
creative
many
nature, for
different.
example.
There are many different form of meditations. The one I told you, this is called analytical meditation. I just mentioned analytical meditation because it makes sense. It's a logical. It's kind of psychotherapy. Everybody understands, right? But then, of course, there are specific mantras. If the mantras can help you to transform your kleshas, there are specific yogas which can also help you to transform your emotions. There are many different stuffs. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Got it.
And also, if you're angry, if you meditate more on love and compassion, your anger dissolves in it.
Mm.
Like that day, my boy, we are on the seaside and he wrote on the sand anger. When he finished, the wave comes and the anger was erased. And then we are talking about emotional things. He said, oh, yeah, he was saying, oh, yeah, it's true. When you have anger, when the wave comes like love and compassion, your joy comes like a wave and it erases it, right? So there's no trace. So that's called using the opposite emotions, to transform your anger. And then sometimes you can use sound and sometimes you can use different stuff. Okay, good.
Mhm.
Is the connection
Well,
good?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I'm like my focus on bringing the emotions is because on the path of self development, sometimes we see it is our own mind that is sort of hindering us, because like you said, you are thinking about that thing, what he said, that said, or sometimes your own thoughts that is pushing you down. And once you clear them up one by one, that is, I think, when you have more energy for more mental space for
Sure.
doing something that you want to do in life. Do you have any
Yeah.
as someone,
I call
say,
it,
who is set out into the world? Go ahead.
no, I call it like when you are thinking something over and over, repeating you are holding in your mind somebody in the past or some bad experiences or future worries. When you get lost in the thoughts and emotions, I call it emotional loop. We are looping again and again.
Mhm.
Okay. But if you see that loop as an energy, there's nothing else. The energy is not like a negative black force. You just imagine it's a light. It's a rainbow light. It's the light of Buddha, light of Shiva. And it's looping and looping and looping. And then this negative feeling and emotion will disappear too.
Mm.
You make this looping dissolving or transforming, changing the nature. So there are many different ways to do with that, to deal with that. Okay. Sorry, what was your last question?
Yeah, I was since I'm curious to know. I mean, I know we discussed a lot of topics. Some ways to transform. We spoke about food. We spoke about emotions, and how it sort of affects the individual. Is there any suggestions or any paths that one must take, like maybe a specific routine that one must need to practice daily so that they can be at their best energy in all in mind, body, and spirit, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
that you would recommend people?
So we need to do two things. Number one, we have to work on our body. Sport, yoga,
Mhm.
fitness doesn't matter, right? Human body, the more you move, the more you exercise, the more stronger and healthier. Very important. Same way we use our mind. Meditation, analytic meditation, working. In your case, probably you are using your brain for your work, right? IT.
Mhm.
So we have this brain, this amazing organ. It's so smart, it's so functional. We should use that too. So some people, they are mentally so active and physically they are kind of paralyzed, right? For some people, they are physically so active, they do so much exercises, gyms, and these things, and they are mentally paralyzed. Do you understand? We need to work mentally and physically both together, equally. I think that's very, very important. But in order to do this, you need to have good friends, good social
Mhm.
circles.
Mhm.
Okay? As Tibetan medicine, Sowa Rigpa says, good friend is the best therapist. So
Mhm.
in a way, humans, we are social animals. We need to socialize. What does it mean to socialize, right? It means connection, physical connection, verbal connection, emotional connection. We need to be connected, right? So once we are connected with other people, then we don't call it energy. We call it a synergy. So we have to create this
Mhm.
psychological synergy. Once you have a good synergy, and then you don't need to push yourself too much. You don't need to stress yourself too much. Do you understand? The synergy itself is working, right? Do you understand? That's very
Mhm.
interesting. Some people, they try so hard by themselves. If you just try by yourself, your physical power, mental power, just by yourself, you are just one energy. Just one energy, right? Even in your work, like you need to connect with many people, right? We are all interconnected, interdependent. So interconnection, interdependent with the working people, with customers and this and that. The web goes bigger and bigger and bigger. But the one I'm talking, the synergy, is inner circle. Inner circle, your inner friends circle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow,
Do you
that's
understand?
it's I absolutely. I can like give you an example. Even in I'm a practitioner of Kriya Yoga, and
Mm-hmm.
every Sunday we meet here in New York City. We have a small satsang where maybe 15 to 20 of us gather and we do the practice together, maybe an hour and a half. And I could tell the difference. It's so vast, so like the word you use, synergy. It's like when we are like one of the practices pranayama. It's very similar. It's obviously
Yeah,
the essence is moving the prana in the channel, and when we do it in the synergy with other people, even in the group practices we've done in Bhutan, it's much more powerful, and you could feel the
yeah,
effects
synchronized.
immediately.
Exactly.
Hmm.
It's synchronized. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Wow. Hmm.
Yeah. You see, depressed people,
Hmm.
they have less and less friends. Once they are losing connection with a friend, so when they isolate, it's becoming a problem. Do you understand? Psychologically, it's the same. Energetically, it's the same. Physically, also, if you are living with somebody, with your partner, friend, and this and that, right? So your energy level, your mood level is always different. Today, the problem is because of the internet and these things, so many people are super kind of isolated, right? They just get lost in social media and this and that, and they think, okay, I'm socializing social media. You are socializing in social media, but who is actually physically next to you? With who you go for a walk? With who you really physically talk, right? With who you physically hug? It's
Hmm.
always different. Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Nida, for your wisdom.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
for my listeners, if they want to get introduced, to some of your teachings, is there any specific? I know you. I'm gonna post your website and your channel here. But what is if someone wants to learn more about Vajrayana tradition? What is a good place to start?
Tell them to read my Karma Mudra book, Yoga of Bliss.
It's quite a yoga bliss karma mudra. Yeah. We haven't talked about it, but it's a really, really, yeah.
We'll talk another time.
It's one of your another. It's a great book. Thank you very
It's
much,
not
and
one of my best.
I really appreciate
It's
your
not
time.
my best book. Just people like it.
Because the topic is super interesting. And
Yeah.
and 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 just for the listeners, you have given us during the retreat in Bhutan, you have gave us a copy of your new book, but it's fully in Tibetan. And when I saw the Tibetan language, the words are, it's like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
um, yeah, the Tibetan alphabet is really fascinating, very symbolic. Um,
Yeah.
I look forward to maybe doing some research on it in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, doctor.
Mhm.
Is there any remaining, any insight or anything you want to say in a final few minutes here, or to the audience, or to me, or to the world as a whole, you'd like to share?
Well, yeah, I think at end, what really our humans matter is the connection, right? Connecting with friends, connecting with other people, connecting with family members, and the real ultimate connection is a foundation of peace. So, you know, I really wish in the future we humans, can achieve peace among us, right? Today there are so many divisions and, separations and fights and war and suffering. I really wish that one day we all humans will wake up and we all humans coming together hand in hand, create this wonderful synergy. And this kind of synergy starts with individual, each of us, right? So we really have to transcend what is our spiritual belief, what is our religion, religious tradition, or nationality, or geographic divisions, or histories. Because once we are really involved in any of these things, right, they are always becoming like old traumas and crashing and separating and fighting. It's kind of becoming like endless. So that's why I really wish, one day we all humans can find this kind of, transcendental wisdom, right? Transcending from all those different colors and nations and religions and everything. All humans becoming in one big synergy and peace. Yeah. Okay. Peace.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Thank you.
Please talk to you soon. Have a beautiful day. Thank you.
You.
Yeah.